Really looking forward to our topic today. And I see someone on here. So if you can just type in there and let me know so that way I can see if I can see your information. Um, I'm looking forward to talking about, and if you see my advertisement, it's we're going to be talking about the dark night of the soul. Okay. And it sounds scary. So it was like, when I went on Instagram, I was like, okay, let me put something in here referring to Dark Night of the Soul so these people won't think I'm on here doing witchcraft. Because I'm not. So Dark Night of the Soul talks about when, okay, and for everyone, happy Father's Day. Just spreading that love out. Um, Dark Night of the Soul talks about when you're going, say you're coming out of a relationship, right? You're coming out of a relationship and you're depressed, you're sad, everything around you just seems dark. Okay. So Dark Night of the Soul basically is dealing with your ego. And a lot of people don't know that. But you go through that so that the ego can change from the way that we present, because normally when we get in a relationship or someone's in a relationship and the relationship is stopped, then we tend to all go into ego, and ego is, you know being angry, being upset, not not fixing a problem, and not saying that you have to go back and fix it, because some people may choose to move on, but those are kind of the things that you go through when you go through Dark Night of the Soul. Okay, so again, y'all know, if I'm looking over here, what I'm doing, I'm reading my stuff I didn't wrote down. So I'm gonna give you a little explanation of Dark Night of the Soul. It says Dark Night of the Soul is a term used to describe a period of confusion, loneliness, and perhaps isolation. And normally, if you look at it, those are things that you go through when you're depressed as well. You isolate yourself. You get to a place where you feel lonely. You get to a place where you confused, don't know what happened and why it happened the way it did. Okay. So it says this sounds dark, and that's what I was saying. I was like, this sounds so dark. People might think the wrong thing. But it says this sounds dark. It feels dark when you're going through it. It definitely does. But the truth is, this is a period of soul's development, uh, about a spiritual ground. Meaning that when you're going through the Dark Night of the Soul, I kind of explained to you guys last week that there's a tarot card that is death. Okay. And usually when people see the tarot card that states death, they naturally assume somebody's going to die, because I know before I started reading tarot, if somebody mentioned a death card, then I just assume that that's, oh, okay. So who's finna die? Is it me, or is it somebody I know, somebody I love? But the death card doesn't mean death. The death card means transformation, meaning that you're going from, and like I say, I'm just reiterating, I know I spoke on this last week. You're going from dying to old self and being rebirthed to a new person. Okay. So Dark Night of the Soul can sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, be affiliated with the death card. Because when you're going through transformation, you're in that loneliness, you're in that confusion time, you're in that time where you want to be by yourself and you don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to soak, sit up in the room and just say, okay, let me do my little crying or do whatever I'm gonna do for however many days. Hopefully it's not months, however many days, and then you eventually you evolve, you come out of it. If you do it, and I don't know if it's a right way or a wrong way to do it, but for me, like I said, it's always writing or giving back. And that tends to make me pay attention to the things, how my mind is focused. Okay. So it says your ego and your higher consciousnesses are at war. So your ego, and what I found out about your ego is really, and I don't know, and I don't think people don't know, But for me, when I find out something new and the way I learn about it, then it's like, oh, I didn't know what that meant that. But what I found out was the ego is based on fear. And if you think about it, it helps you to understand, because if you think about your ego and you think about fear, then the first thing you think about your ego is someone saying, oh, no, they can't do this to me. I dare them do this to me. How can they dare do this? And it's not really that person possibly done something to you, and they could have, but your ego is like, no, and there are some people that do want to get back with somebody, and when I say get back, I mean like vengeance. They want to pay them back because they feel like, you can't do that to me. This is not, I'm not finna accept this. I'm not finna just take this and move on. But a lot of that is just basically your ego, and your ego is fear. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of how you made me look, how you made me feel, how did you talk to me that way? How did all the things that we associate with fear is basically just your ego. And the dark night of the soul is what's releasing you from that ego side of it. Because even when you let the ego be in front, then I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to forgive them. And I said that last week. I'm not going to forgive them. But in order for you to be able to get over the ego part, then you have to be able to sit down, look at yourself, and look at why you feel the way you do. Why you feel like because somebody did something to you um, is something that we want to take on as if how they can do that. Everybody have all their own issues. So when people do stuff, it's necessarily not about wanting to hurt someone. It's just habit. It's doing something without thinking, not worrying about the outcome of it. And a lot of that, again, is based on ego. So it says your ego and your higher consciousness are at war. And the battle is a gruesome one. And it is. If you've ever went through the transformation, if you ever went through the dark night of the soul, it's definitely gruesome. And when I say gruesome, not gruesome as in blood and stuff like that, but it's gruesome because of all the pain that you have to go through and all the things you have to learn to let go. And ego is one that we've had since we can remember. So trying to get rid of your ego is a hard process. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to say I'm there yet, but I'm finding out ways that I can deal with it better. And the first thing that I found out that helped me kind of deal with it was because when I found out it was just fear based. It's based on fear. It's based on you feeling like somebody's leaving you, or you feeling like you're being rejected, or you feeling like that I was the good person. Why did this have to? All that is based on ego. And you have to come to a point where you have to start facing your ego. You have to start facing it because it generally rules everybody's life. It rules it to a point where people don't think about, you know, oh, that's my ego. So let me bring my little ego down, because that's fear based. Let me just let my ego down a little bit. We don't think like that. When we're in ego mode, that's what we do. We do things, we think these certain ways. So the dark night of the soul is here to help you to remove your ego. And it says this struggle takes place in uncomfortable territories. So true. When you're most uncomfortable, I can even say for me, in general, I was talking to my older sister this morning, and we were going over some of the things, not necessarily this, but we were just having conversations about depression. We were having conversation about learning how to set boundaries. Um, and we were both talking about, the ego and how it can make you not set boundaries. You don't set boundaries that are good for you. Let me say that. You may set boundaries, but you're not setting boundaries to lift you up. You're setting boundaries to where, oh yeah, this person did this, so I'm gonna pay them back. Yeah, no, that's not what we're gonna do. Okay, that we don't pay people back. They get their own karma. So it talks about that, and it says it comes at an uncomfortable. It takes place at an uncomfortable territory. It say there's a middle where you cannot go back to the old ways, and that's so true, because when you start to notice that you have an ego, then it's hard for you to go back. And when I say go back, I'm not saying go back as a specific say relationship or anything like that. It's hard for you to go back to having that ego mind frame. That's what it's stating, that it's hard for you to go back. But at the same time, you don't know how to process further, because in the middle there's the beginning, which is that very uncomfortable territory. Then the middle is like, okay, no, I don't want to act like that no more. I don't want ego to control my life. So now we're at that stage where we don't want ego to control our lives, but then it's a process to get it out. So that's why it states that you're not there yet. You're not at the process yet. Because it's a new way of being. It is. When you let go your ego, it's definitely a new way of being. But let me state this, that I've found that even with studying about the dark night of the soul, the one thing I did find about, like I said, that helped me was the fact that I learned that ego was based on fear. That kind of helped me, because then it was like, okay, well, no, you can't be fearful to go to be lonely. You can't be fearful and isolate yourself. That's not the good way, because that right there is really basically depression. It's depression. And if you go so deep, it's hard for you to pull yourself up again. Okay. So it says it's a process, but it's a new way of being. So you have to get rid of all those things that make you think that I can't believe this person done this to me. I can't believe that I'm going through this, or all the stuff that makes you think about your ego. And really and truly, as I was learning this and studying about it, then that's when I got a chance to pay attention that, oh my God, and I don't know, I just never thought about it, but I just never, I knew I could get a little temperamental. Okay. I know that, but I never thought it was ego based that I was being like that. But it truly was, because when we're in our ego, we feel like we have to defend ourselves. Okay. We feel like that we have to defend ourselves, or like I say, you may get into that mentality where, oh, I'm gonna pay them back for what they've done to me. I'm a do this to them. I'm gonna make them feel like this because what they done to me. That's ego, and that ego is only fear. That's fear that makes you want to pay somebody back. That's fear that makes you want to make somebody's life miserable, and it's also petty. It's hell, but it's that fear. It's that fear of, I don't want you to make me feel this way. But instead of saying, okay, I think this was ego, or if you don't look at it, then you automatically go into that fight mode. How they say it is fight or flight. It's that you go into that when your ego is the number one thing that you're working off of. Okay, it may even feel as if you're permanently stuck, and it does. If you think about being depressed, if you suffer from depression, like I've said on here several times, I suffer from depression, but I don't take medicine, but I suffer from depression. So if you think about being depressed, right? And if you ever been depressed before, and which I'm sure everybody have at one point in their life, it makes you feel like you're never going to get out of it. It makes you feel like you're going to be depressed for forever. As long as you got breath in your body, you're going to feel depressed, right? But it's not like that. They're saying it makes you feel like you're permanently stuck, but you're really not. You're really not stuck in that depression. You're only stuck because of your mind frame. Your mind frame is steady telling you, I'm depressed. I'm saying, again, I'm talking to me. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I don't want to be here no more. I don't know all that crying and all that stuff. But it's your mind. It's your mind that makes you depressed. It's your mind that makes you feel like you're stuck and you're never going to come out of it. And in the dark night of the soul, what the dark night of the soul is trying to do for you is for you to relieve your ego, to leave your ego at the door. Leave your ego at the door. And then once you leave your ego at the door, then you can start kind of change the way you look at things. You change the way you even feel about things. You change the way it's not as bad as I thought. But you can remember a month ago, you didn't think you was going to breathe through it. But when you start to look at yourself and start to look at the things, look at the way the ego makes you feel and brings fear into you, because that's what it is simply fear. And when that fear comes on, then we're sad, we're lonely, we're confused. We don't know why this is happening to us. Why did this have to happen? Why are we going through this? I can name several things that I was doing that about. Not just relationship, just in life in general, right? And that's why I say the ego plays a part in every aspect of your life. It's just not in a relationship. Okay, it could be bills piling up. You get depressed because you're trying to figure out, okay, how I'm gonna get this paid, how I'm gonna get that paid, and then you don't see no way out. Guess what? You get depressed. And guess what that is? That's fear. That's fear. Thinking that I'm never going to come out of this. I'm never going to overcome this. No, you're not if you don't start working on it. But if you start working on it, you will come out. Now, is it an overnight thing? No, it's absolutely not. But you can come out of it. Okay. It says your pain is very present. So when you're in that dark night of the soul, your pain is present. It is there saying, hello, I'm here. I'm here. That's how our pain is. It's very present in our lives, right? But remember, I want you to keep in mind what I'm saying, because this is part of the dark night of the soul. And right now, the things I'm giving to you may look like, man, so, or will I ever get out of this? Yes, you will. That's the good news about it. You will come out of it if you do the work. If you work on it. When you see your ego rising up, something now, after listening to this live, something now should make you react a little bit different. And like I say, it won't happen overnight, but you're aware. And if you're aware, then you'll notice it. But it's when we're not aware. Like, I didn't know ego was based on fear. I didn't. But when I read about it, then it made a lot of sense. Yeah. Because most of the times, the reason why we have an ego is because we don't want to lose our vehicle. We don't want to lose our home. We don't want to lose people that we love. And it's based on fear. So the ego comes up and say, okay, now, yeah, I may lose it, but not without a fight. But if you look at it, it's just fear, because you might not lose it. It's just fear. I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to explain to you. It says, and no matter what you do, you cannot seem to break free of this mental and emotional prison. Mental and emotional prison. That's what it is. So Let me give you an example. Let's just say what it is. Prison. You're locked up. Your will is no longer your will. Your will is somebody else's will, right? You have to go by these people rules. You have to do what these people say. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you're emotional in prison, you feel like you have to do what your body is telling you. You have to react to the way the body is telling you to react. And right now your mind is saying, I want to be depressed. And I don't know who says that, but that's what our mind thinks, that, yeah, that's what we want. We want to be depressed. We want to be confused. We want to isolate ourselves. And I look at it now, and it's not laughable. And when I say that, I mean it's laughable for me, because I look at it now and I'm like, that is so true. It is so true. Nobody, and I associated with a alcoholic or a person on drugs. Nobody wakes up and say, I want to be an alcoholic. Nobody wakes up and say, I want to be a drug addict. It's the mind. It's the mind that makes you feel like once you got that drink, oh, this is what I love to do. Once you take that hit of drugs, this is what I love to do. Everything stems from your mind, in the way your mind is set up, the way you set your mind up. Let me rephrase that. The way you set your mind up, that's what makes you feel like you can't go on. You depressed, and I need to pay them back for what they did to me because they left me and all that. No, you don't have to do that, because all they're doing is showing the fear in you. That's what that is. That's showing that you have some type of issue that causes you to fear, right? So when you have that issue and that ego pops up, then that ego say, okay, we're going to get them back. We're going to get them back. But in the meanwhile, we locked up in the room, depressed and crying and all that. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Let karma do its own thing. You ain't got to do nothing. Just sit back. But again, you have to stay focused. You have to keep your mind on it. And like I say, I see someone else has came in. Just let me state this from the top, which I said at first. The night of the soul is not anything that's scary. The night of the soul is the dark night of the soul, rather, is just you fighting against your ego. Okay. And it gets very dark there. It gets very dark because the dark night of the soul is just like depression. You can basically say the dark night of the soul is depression. But the good thing about it is that what you learn, it helps you come out of it. It helps you not be in there. And this is what I was saying at first, that the ego is only fear-based. We only have ego because we're scared of something. We're scared of something going to happen. We're scared of how something may turn out. So then we get an ego. And then when we get an ego, then guess what? It's not pleasant. It's not, nobody that stands in ego has any pleasant experiences. I mean, the ego can make you, how do I want to say it? Excel in life. You can be successful. But then there also comes a point in your life where that dark night of the soul is going to hit you, because you can't not be an ego and not go through the dark night of the soul unless you just believe that I want to be this way all the time. And if you do, then by all means, more power to you. But if you don't want to live in ego, then you want to be able to get out of it. Okay. This is a sign to assure you. Now, this is the good part. I gave y'all a bad part. The good part is this is a sign to assure you that okay, my computer's moving too fast for me. This is a sign to assure you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. When you go through the dark night of the soul, it's just like they said. It's like you're going through a tunnel. and you're going through this tunnel and it's dark as crap. Okay, this tunnel is very dark, right? But you can see the light. You're not there yet, but you can see the light. You can see the light when you decide to not fight against it, but allow it to happen as it should. Then you can kind of see the light. Like for me, studying this and finding out about it, I can kind of see the light now. I can kind of see why certain things triggered me. I can see why I went through depression, because now I know that it's in my mind. It's not something that, how do I want to say this? It's not, I don't want to say it's not something that you won't go through, because you would. People go through depression, and normally it's through trauma, it's through something else, or it's got, well, not normally, all the time it's really based on trauma. Okay, so you're gonna go through it, but now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So let me give you an example of that light. Okay, uh without divulging my business. But I went through the dark night of the soul with my sister. My sister passed away in December. Okay, and that, and still is today. I woke up this morning sad about her, because it's her daughter's birthday. So I woke up like, oh my God, she's not even here. But that was a dark part for me. Number one, it was unexpected. It wasn't something that we were expecting. Uh, and then the day before that, she basically talked to everybody in our family. And like I say, I'm the youngest of 13. So it's a lot of people to talk to. Okay. So basically, everybody that she talked to, and meaning close people, like her daughters, her grandkids, her sisters and brothers. She basically talked to everybody, and that was Christmas Day. She died the next day. So it was hard for me to understand how she could be so happy on Christmas and not be here the day after Christmas. That was my dark night, because I could not understand that. I just couldn't. My older sister was talking about it this morning as well. And I was telling her, I say, I had got to the point and I was like, really, God, did you think this through? And then really, those was my questions. Did you really think this through? Because I want to know, did you know how this was going to affect me? Right? But that was a dark period in my life, and still is if I allow it to be. Now, do I still want my sister? Yes. Do I still miss my sister? Yes. Would I rather have my sister here? Yes. But I'm coming to a place that I can't even say accepted. And that, I said it then, but to feel it in my heart, I still haven't accepted it yet. But I'm coming to a place, like this morning I was sad. Usually if I'm sad, I'm crying. I didn't cry this morning. I was just sad because she wasn't here for her daughter's birthday. Okay, so that's part of the images or the things that we go through when we go through the dark night of the soul. You go down, right? You go deep, deep, deep. But and I'm excited to talk about it, because my best friend is always telling me, all this you going through, Lisa, I know something good is going to happen to you. All this you going through, I know something is you just going to be so blessed. And it, because like I say, it's a number of things. But when I started reading about this is what it talks about. That dark night of the soul, that dark period in your life that you had to face, if you not through it yet, because I mean, I see the light. Let me just say that. I definitely see the light. So if you're not seeing the light yet, just know that that light is waiting on you. That light is so waiting on you. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because at the time I'm going through this darkness, this channel came about. At the time that I'm going through this darkness, I decided to write a book. It's always something better when you come out of it, but you have to allow yourself to go through it. And I'm still going through things, but those things are not bombarding my mind anymore. It's not keeping me up at night. I'm sleeping really good. And it's not where I used to be. It's like I literally can see the light. And I want you guys to be able to, whether you're in this time frame now or you're not, just know that if you have to go through it, you will come out of it. You will, if you allow what needs to take place and not fight against it. Okay. So it says here, this is a sure sign. This is a sign to assure you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Not only will you make it through this dark night, but you will come out of it completely transformed. And that's what I see. That's what I see. I see me not being the person I used to be. You know, when I was talking to my sister this morning, I was telling her, I say, I allowed a lot of things to take place in my life because I was so fearful of being rejected. And my sister was the total opposite. And she was like, Lisa, she say, well, we're nothing alike. She say, because I see somebody one time and they got one time to mess up and I'm gone. And I'm like, I would like to be like that, but that's not what I'm built from. I'm not built from that. I'm built from, and I started explaining to her about her signs so she can understand why she's like she is, because she's a Taurus. A Taurus is a person that is grounded and rooted, not meaning they don't have emotion, but a Taurus is going to take care of their business. A Taurus is going to, you could be here today, gone tomorrow, they still moving forward. They're strong will, but they're grounded and family oriented. And I was telling my sister, I made her laugh. I said, yeah. I said, girl, because I see that in you because your family is first to you. Your family, like if a guy came and tried to approach you, you wouldn't deal with them because your family means too much to you. And so you're not going to put anyone else in a place where it might take you away from your family. And she was like, oh my God, Lisa, you are so right. I said, yeah, because that's earth sign. That with earth sign. I say, me, I'm a Libra. Libra is based on Venus. Venus is the love sign. So guess what? I love, and when I love hard. I say it takes me a long time to move on, but when I do, it's like, okay, yeah, I know. No one else may know when I know I'm done, but I know because I started doing stuff to hurry up and move on. Just like this channel, I do stuff that will help me move on. I do stuff that won't keep me stuck in the dark night of the soul, because if I don't, I'll still be there. And I'll be there for a while, so this time I'm like doing it different, because my main thing of it is that I know that whether it's my book, whether it's this YouTube channel, whether it's another relationship, whatever it is, I don't want to face the things I faced before. So I'm going to make sure I do the work so I don't have to face it again. Okay. So that's part of being the dark night of the soul. But I'm just letting you know that when you go through the dark night of the soul, there's a blessing on the other end of it. It's not, and my friend will vouch for me real quick because it's because of this. I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I'm this way, and this is why I'm being punished. And And it's to take you to a place that's better than what you left. That's what it is. It's there to heal you so you can appreciate the thing that comes to you, whether it be a new car, whether it be a new house, whether it be a book, whether it be a YouTube channel, whatever it is, it's taking place to give you better. It's not taking place to punish you, which my friend had to keep telling me. It's not taking place to punish you. It's taking place to give you better. But you have to go through that. Because guess what? If you get something, say you get a new car, your ego may just, oh, I got a new car and this and this and this and that and this and that. And your ego, that's your ego, right? And at the same time, you laying down at night, maybe thinking, oh, Lord, I can't lose my car. I can't do this because something may have occurred where you can't pay the car note. Okay. But my thing of it is that you went through a dark period in your life. I can guarantee you went through something in your life that caused that blessing to come to you. But while you were going through that dark period, you didn't think about, oh, I'm going to get me a new car. I'm going to get me a nice home. I'm going to get me a new apartment. I'm moving on. You didn't think about that at the time you was going through that dark period. You didn't think that. But if you look back now, I can guarantee you'll look back and say, something happened, whether it's a car, whether whatever it is, relationship, whatever. At the time you were confused, lonely, you did not think you were going to be with that person you with now. Say God sent you somebody better. Spirit sent you somebody better. Whoever you call on sent you somebody better. But at that time you was going through, you didn't think that. You probably thought, oh, Lord, I'm going to be by myself for the rest of my life. See, and me, I'm different this time. And I know I'm different because I'm different to the point to where, no, I don't want another relationship until I'm healed totally and completely. Because if I go into